Today we're going to look at the real estate market, at least the part that no one talks about. And no, it's not the mortgage side, and no, it's not the interest rates. It's not the builders, it's not the individual investors, and it's not the flippers. Okay? You need to watch the end of this video because I'm going to briefly hit on the topic that really nobody ever talks about on TikTok. Now, in honest, you probably heard these words, so what I'm talking about is REITs, institutional buyers, investment firms, and DSTs. Okay, REITs have been around for a long time. As a matter of fact, from 1961 to 1986, they were constantly changing the rules of what they could do and what they could be. They used to be like just mortgage REITs, actually. When I got into the business in 1990s, REITs really focused on corporate-backed leases. So we're talking about McDonald's, a post office, a CVS, things like that. Okay, so investors loved these things because they paid 5, 6, 7, 8%. Okay, they were solid investments for very wealthy people who knew about them. Now, back in 2009, 2010, when the economy tanked and a lot of people lost their homes, they all moved into apartments. Now, multifamily homes are great investments for REITs. You start your lease at like $800, and 1 or 2 years later, they move it up to $900. Well, think about that for an investor. You've got all these apartments and the rents are going up. Wow, talk about great return, ROI. Okay, now, guess what? Who else pays attention to this? Well, that's the investment houses. People like BlackRock and guys like that have a lot of money. And we're talking billions, okay? They wanted a piece of this return. These REITs were getting 15, 25, 30, 45% returns. And of course, the investment houses couldn't resist. Now, I'm going to simplify this, so be kind to me, okay? Take a house down in Charleston. The house is across the street from the beach. So it's not on the beach, it's across the street from the beach, and the house is listed at $1 million. Well, I take my client over to the house, I show it to him, I take some comps with me, and we look at the house, and it's clearly worth about $950,000. We put an offer in, and we find out later our offer is declined. No big deal, happens all the time. But when we find out what the house sold for, we're actually surprised. The home sells for $1.6 million. All cash deal closes very quickly, within 30 days. Why would somebody almost pay double for a house? Okay, and you got to understand something. It's not the house. You keep hearing this on TikTok, but it's the cash flow. So if this house, no matter what it cost, still rents for $15,000 to $30,000 a week, and this actually happens in Charleston, and that's during the summer season, and $7,000 to $10,000 in the winter season. Well, as long as this house makes $240,000 a year or more, then this investment for this investment firm is outperforming the stock market. And believe it or not, they bought it at 1.6. If they were to sell it for the $1 million that it was really worth, they could write off the loss. So no matter what they do, this is a wonderful investment. Now, can you imagine what it did to the neighborhood? Now everybody is wondering, well, I guess these houses aren't worth $950,000. They're worth $1.6 million. So don't forget as well, these guys are not just looking for cash flow, they're looking for depreciation. This helps them on their taxes. Now, one other thing, these investment firms are heavily financed. They have a lot of investor money. So you want to buy a $100,000 house. You could borrow $100,000 at 7%. So you're paying that. Well, the investor hands $100,000 to these firms, and they buy the house for cash, and they just split up the $1,500 or $2,000 rent. So it's nothing but a return to these guys. Now, back to the opening statement. I don't want you to focus or when you're talking about the market, I don't want you to focus on interest rates so much. And I don't want you to focus on the prices of houses going up or even down. What you need to probably pay attention to is things like in the news, like the GDP, gross domestic product. Coming up in third quarter and fourth quarter, this country has always looked forward to how much stuff the rest of the world buys from us. Well, this year is exceptionally important because the dollar is so high right now that other countries are probably not going to buy a lot of our stuff. It's all overpriced, and our dollar is expensive. So if that happens, what's going to happen is companies are probably going to lay off people. You're probably not going to sell houses as much. You're not going to do mortgages as much. We're going to go through a bad period, all right? Sort of has to happen because that keeps investors from giving money to these institutions, so they're able to overprice for houses. So you see the cycle, okay? Now, all of you commercial agents, please don't beat me up on this, all right? I even tell my own clients, don't sit on your hands during these periods. If you're a buyer, you need to be preparing yourself for when these adjustments start to happen. You need to have your realtor. You need to be out there. This is a lifetime opportunity where you can actually get a really wonderful house at a really wonderful place for a great price. Now, also, what's about to happen is a stagnant period. We're about to go into a place where everybody's a little worried. They're not going to buy. They're going to stay in their homes. Listen, if an opportunity pops up now at these interest rates, it's still an opportunity. You can buy some of the best homes. Location, location, location is your target, okay? Now, again, you commercial real estate agents, go easy on me. I was trying to simplify this, okay? And I'd love to hear some of your comments. I'd like to even do a response video of what you think and if I'm wrong or right on how I think. All right, follow and like for more.